Hey everybody, welcome to The Challenge. I am John Chapman, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, and we are endeavoring to bring religion and politics back to the dining room table expressly, whatever religion you want to talk about. And I honor and exalt the name of Jesus Christ in every program, because he is not religion, he is the Savior. And so we give thanks to him and honor him and glorify him in all things. And if you want to follow us, so you can like and you can share, you can join us over on Facebook. You can find us there. You can go to Instagram. Find us there. You can go to YouTube and find these podcasts there. And we have quite a slew of them over the last year and a half, and they have been fantastic. And including today's unique and local today, I'd like to introduce to you everybody who's joining us, Mandee Shivers. Mandee, it's good to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yes.
Super excited about the conversation.
Likewise. And I know it's just going to go places that people need to hear about you, but also know the why, the when, maybe even a little the history about how you. Well, let me start with this. Are you native Iowan?
Yes, but
there's no wrong answer, by the way. I saw you pause. It's like, wait a minute, she's an illegal. She's an illegal Iowan.
I am a legal Iowan. Let's just clarify. With that, I'm also a missionary kid, so I've spent a good portion of my life in Taiwan, and so just back and forth. And people go, "Oh, are you native?" Yes, my family has had a home here since I was really little. My grandparents have had an orphanage in Taiwan for 57 years. It's where my dad was raised. And so growing up, we'd spend multiple months, just there helping out at the orphanage. In high school, I lived there quite a few months out of each year.
Really?
To serve. I did overnights so that grandma could, as she's been getting older, let her sleep so she could do day shift and I would do night shift.
Is that still continuing?
They are there right now. They just flew in this week. So they've retired, kind of. They're really bad retired people. So they've retired to Joplin, Missouri, or Carl Junction, Missouri. So they are Ozark Christian College alumni. So they live over in that area.
Yes.
And they still serve, and they just don't know how to sit still. So they kind of do that in the area, but they still have their names and all the legal everything over in Taiwan. So there was some legal stuff that needed handled. So they're over there right now.
That's fantastic. I'm going to enjoy this even all the more because of the experience that comes with that, the relationships that are developed in that kind of mission work, that committed kind of mission work, I believe brings a perspective that most people, I say this often, man, if you know Jesus or don't know Jesus, one, leave the state of Iowa, and then two, leave the country and experience it. And if you go to a country that's more comfortable, then if you're bold enough after that, go to a country that's just uncomfortable. And it's way out of your wheelhouse because it brings a perspective, does a thing in our hearts.
Yes,
I think absolutely. So you and I met. We were talking about this a little bit pre-podcast. I think it was two springs ago, and we were coming down to the State House, and I was trying to get my feet wet a little bit. And I suppose if you're gonna talk about some politics, you got to be around it a little bit too. Otherwise,
sure.
I have a distance opinion. Met you down there doing some committees were going on. And how long have you been involved, first of all, by going just down to the Capitol and involving yourself in speaking on committees and things?
Yeah. So for going and speaking on committees, that's a solid 6 years.
Oh, really?
At least.
Yeah.
I grew up kind of a political nerd. So because growing up as a missionary kid, we were raised with, all right, we've seen how different countries and cultures and their government works. We live in America. That's where we've chosen to raise our family.
Yeah.
We have God-given rights and responsibilities to be engaged and be involved. My 12th birthday party was at the Republican headquarters of Iowa. We had a mailing going on. I got bursitis in my shoulders, and so they got me a label maker and switched me to secretarial work from there. By the time I was...
Happy birthday.
Yes.
It was.
I love it. And then when I was 14, by the time I was 14, I was a media intern on the Bush campaign.
Okay.
And just kind of continued through there. My husband and I got married when I was 14. Let's correct that. My husband and I got married when I was 18. Everything was legal.
Including what you have in your drinks right here.
Yes.
No worries there.
Tea and water.
Yes.
Hydrating Iowa Springs. Iowa winters. We just need both.
That's right.
And we got married when I was 18. We had our first kiddo when I was 19. And so we were very busy in just raising baby life. And so kind of stepped back from my government political involvement for those seasons. I felt like the Lord gave me my first mission field was the children in my home.
Yeah.
And in our home, and just felt called to be present there. And then when they got a little bit older, and it was okay, I think it's time to start re-engaging. We started homeschooling at that point. So great. The kids can come with, they can learn how the government system works. They can learn how the whole process of bills and subcommittees and everything goes. There's no reason that we can't integrate this into our education.
Absolutely.
So we started in that, and COVID got crazy. And so I got really involved. And it was just time to be present and to show up and to have conversations. Because what I have found is you can send all the emails, you can make all the phone calls, but when your face is recognized by the legislators and they go, oh, that's the person that emailed me, that's the person that called me, now we can have this face-to-face dialogue, and it just changes the relationship. It changes the engagement. You're more likely to respond back to someone that you've developed a relationship with. And so just start being present. So I just started showing up at the Capitol about 3 days a week for legislation that I felt affected my kids and their futures.
That's going to take us down a whole line, because I want to step back here for just a second. When you and your husband got married, I'm not trying to dig too much into his life, but it's important what our families are, what the structure is, how you do family and all those kinds of things. Was he as vested already as you were in the things of government, or was he just kind of coming from a different angle altogether?
No, he did not vote for the first time until 2018.
Okay.
He was not. It was a source of tension in our home of, but this is your God-given responsibility. Like this is your right and your responsibility, and you don't get to complain about how things are going if you're not going to show up and vote. And he goes, why does it matter? It's just one vote. And so we kind of sat in that for a little while of why does it matter? And something that I love about my husband and so value about him is he's teachable, and he truly loves to learn. And so I had been praying just for quite a few years that men would come around side him, not just for political, but just life in general, just mentorship and men that would speak into his life. And it happened to be that a few of them spoke into why local politics is important and why local government is important and how your one vote actually can really matter.
So I'm gonna confess something to you right now. Yeah. I'm totally in your husband's camp originally, and the idea behind that, like I was the great resistor, and I used to argue and debate with people all the time and said, if it's my freedom, is it also my freedom not to? And so, and those conversations went on for some time, and even myself getting a little bit more involved with it, like you say, having a face to people when you go down there, which is an extra step in that. But also, I like that. I think when two people come together, one, because they love each other, but there's also some other commonalities, and I'd like to touch on that too. And I think we met. I think I said I met him last year. Yep. There was one of the sessions down there. Got a chance to meet him. Was very glad for that. And but I also like the way your husband, even not having any further conversation with him, men have a tendency to be a little distant to watch and see. Like I think. I feel like I'm defending your husband also. I love you, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. I wish you were here, bro. But there's a healthy, maybe sometimes amount of skepticism, and that's not the same as I'm discouraged. Right. We don't want any person discouraged about politics. And I would say that is difficult. Yeah. That is very difficult. But also to be able to see a broad scope also helps to have vision. And also see a big picture, which sometimes is necessary. All right, I'm going to go and vote. Boom, I got my vote done. Yes. How I chose, how I believed when I did my vote. But at the same time, I love talking with guys that sit back and go, so what's this mean in the United States? So what's this mean connecting around the world? What's this mean in Warren County connecting around the world? And I think sometimes guys sit back a little bit and take that in a little bit on a broader scope. Yeah. And so that's cool.
He's a good one. He's a great resource. I can always bounce things off him and he'll go, okay, let's tease this out. Let's think through this. What are the pros and cons of it?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And let's try to look from another lens. Let's try to look at another angle. So in his learning, he's like, I'm not going to vote for something I don't understand.
Oh, nice.
Appreciated.
Yeah, right.
That's very much an approach that I have as well. And so with that, if I don't understand why my vote matters, why would I take the time to go do it? And so, and some of it, I think that I can say this without attacking him because he would say it too. It was passivity that he was sitting in that season, right? And in younger years, and he was really just challenged of men need to step out of their passivity and need to step up and accept responsibility and accountability. And so we need to be leading well in that. And that's really where he went, okay, now I can have a little bit more understanding. He took the time to understand. And part of it was seasons of life that we were in too. He worked overnights our first 12 years of marriage.
Yeah.
We had little babies. He was working a lot of hours to support that. There wasn't a lot of extra brain space and margin to now go study government and politics too.
Right.
So he was in leadership where he was at. He's been in the trucking industry for quite a few years. And that's where he was at in that season. And so he's constantly problem solving for everybody else and doing all the things. And he was a terminal manager for multiple terminals across the state of Iowa. So he ran all of Iowa terminals. Okay. Yeah. So he had quite a few people underneath him. He's like, I am like constantly doing something. When am I supposed to learn something new, babe? Like when do you want me to learn about government? When am I supposed to sleep? How? And that's absolutely no criticism to him. That's just where we realistically were at in that season of our lives. So
true story. Yesterday, I was talking with a 28-year-old man who's preparing for marriage. And he brought this up in the discussion. He said, involvement in politics at my age currently with the responsibilities of prepping for family and taking that on. And he literally was speaking similarly in regards to just what you're describing here is that men also say, all right, if I'm going to bear this load as a family. And I'm just going to take that on. And that's big. That is big for us, right? You take that on. And the other, as time comes, when I don't know how old I was. I don't know. We were married 20 years or something like that. I think before I even started thinking, I used to think politics, but more so on an opinion level. But that early section, you're just like, I have a priority. And then you have a tendency to prioritize that out. And even through the years, you start to shift into what you can begin to take on there. So I was just talking to this guy yesterday and he goes, at our age, you're starting to take on this responsibility and you're talking about the night shifts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a ton of work.
It is.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Describe to me, and we'll get into some of the ideas here too, because I know you're running.
Yeah. Sorry. This podcast has now become about how great my husband is.
No, not at all. I almost would have enjoyed hearing what it was as a couple. Too. So that podcast can happen. Yeah.
Okay. He hates talking in front of people. He will be so excited that I just volunteered him.
We have black bags that can go over the face all together, and just like the unknown just comic,
like
and then
shadow.
You just talk. It's just perfect. And so, before we get into the fact that you are running in District
11, so that would be a great thing to start with. So District 11 is all of Warren County plus Knoxville.
All of Warren. What county is Knoxville in?
Warren County, or Knoxville is in Marion County.
Okay.
So it's the one town that's cut out of Marion County. The rest of it is a whole other district. It's just the one town there.
Okay.
I say the district looks like a turtle. Warren County's like the square. It's like the turtle's back. And then there's like this little skinny neck. And then the head of the turtle is Knoxville. We live in the neck of the turtle. We live there. We connect the two. Sometimes
we see you, sometimes we don't. It's like that, right?
Yes.
What you made a decision, obviously. When somebody runs for an office in the state, what was your thinking process? Did you feel that it was built on building up to it? Were you looking forward to this someday, or did something else happen? You went, you know what? It's time.
Yeah. I was not looking for it at all. So a little family history to be able to answer that question a little more.
Sure.
So my husband and I have worked with sex traffic survivors for quite a few years. So I worked in a safe house with women with children coming out of sex trafficking. We also have hosted teen moms for 16 years in our home. Most of them would be gang affiliated and involved. Many also had trafficking situations as well.
Sure.
Our youngest was adopted through the lifestyle that we have served in, through the ministry that we've served in.
Yep.
In our early years of her being in our home, then we had men try to come and remove her from us and take her. Just bio family got feisty and showed up multiple times to try to remove her. And so for our family's safety's sake, with the gang involvement and just the sex trafficking and just the life that we've lived, we've kept our family very offline. So we have a farm Facebook page where no family pictures have been on, where you want to see a cow, great, you can go to my farm page. You're not going to see my family. We don't put faces on. And we've done that for 14 years. We decided So this was a big like, oh man, myself showing up at the Capitol and working legislation is one thing. Putting our whole family in a public light is a very different space. And so that was approached with a lot of prayer.
Absolutely.
And a lot of just, okay, how do we navigate this? How do we do this? And so I'd been working legislation, like I said, at the Capitol for more than 6 years at this point. And this last year during session, we could see a lot of shifting happening in our district, in the state in general. If you're very involved with the Capitol, all you know that there's a lot of turnover happening with the governor's races and people stepping out and retiring or stepping into different races and different seats and different congressional pieces. There's just been so much shifting. And so I had a couple of people, a couple of organizations that we have a lot of respect for. I just said, Mandee, have you ever considered running? And I, well, no. No, I haven't, but thank you. I'm just fine doing this. I'm just fine lobbying. This is not what we want to do. Well, just talk to Kobe about it. Just talk to Kobe about it. And so I came home and I said, Kobe, this was brought up. And he started to giggle and he goes, well, that's the most logical thing that you've said in a real long time. I said, why wouldn't you be running at this point? Like, why wouldn't you? Well, because I don't want to be a senator. Which I do, right? Like I obviously shifted to that, but it was, oh man, what does that look like for our family life? We've been homeschooling, but we really spent a lot of time in conversation and prayer, and we brought the kids in for that. They're now 14 to 18. So they're 14, 15, 17, 18. And so brought them in for the conversations and said, hey, how do you guys feel about this? And every one of them had the same response. Well, it's about time, Mom. This seems like the logical next step. So that was an encouragement to have the family. Yeah, this is the right time. This is where we're at. Everybody's pretty independent. We have family dynamics sorted out to be able to help out for school and jobs and transportation. And so we were able to sort out the logistics. And we said, okay, let's just pray about when the timing is. What does that look like? And so really, these things started this last year for training. I've done multiple candidate trainings through a couple of different organizations. I've been working on just continuing to build relationships and networking. And then in January, we said, okay, it's time.
Wow.
Let's go.
When you talk about the way you brought your family into it and to discuss it and the response of your kids, the response of your husband, this looks like the next natural thing. To me, there's nothing like having agreement that comes easy in the sense that something's recognized of somebody. In this case, I feel like your family's recognizing you in your calling. And when I say calling, I say the thing that lives in you that breathes from the heart of God. Yeah. But it comes from a different position. And I want to camp on this for a second because personally, and I know much of our listenership is this style of group of people. Mm-hmm. If they had, anytime I have seen people restored in Christ means their life has been found in Him and now they're right with God. Now, getting right with the world still takes some time sometimes, things that we've done. But 100% of the time, I see relationships begin to step in restorative processes at some level. Sometimes it's pretty quick. Sometimes it's not as quick. But there's two types of people I see in government. Everybody always says their family. Very often they say their family. And the persona, it certainly was for me, and I think maybe for some, I don't want to speak for everybody, is that when you get in a position, I'm a senator, a House rep, I'm the governor, I'm the attorney general, I'm all these things, that you look at that and go, oh man, I want to be that person. But I'm here to tell you, when you get even breathly close to that, it's daunting in many ways. And I see a type of person that wants the position, and that makes me nervous. And then in this conversation, I'm seeing the type of person that isn't denying the opportunity, but is saying with fear and trepidation,
yeah, I'm going to walk into this. A space of obedience, right? Yeah. Of Lord, these are giftings and talents that you have, that you have lined up, that you've put in. This is, I'm not an athlete. That is not my greatest joy. Like, I don't love to watch football, but one of the kids pointed out here recently, they're like, Mom, politics is your football. Like, you can name all the players, you know all the moves, you know how this goes. Like, this is your football. I was like, okay, you're actually kind of right. Like, this brings me joy.
See this bill coming in, they're going to do a trick play. They're going to do a trick play, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a trick play.
It's going to happen. Here it comes. I'm like, this person's backing this person, and this is happening here, and this is happening here. Absolutely. I've worked in various ministries over the years. I have a huge heart to be a connector and a unifier. Like, when everyone's trying to duplicate everything, I'm like, how about this ministry is doing this great and this ministry is doing this great? Why don't we partner together and do this well? And I feel very much the same way in the Capitol. Like, this person's doing this well and this person's doing this well. I don't need to do what you're doing well. Let's connect together. Let's serve together. Mm-hmm. Let's unify. I don't see a reason just to be everyone fighting for the ball. It takes the whole team to make the win happen. It is not just one. It's just not the QB carrying the ball the whole time. Right. There we go. You got my football analogy. That was it. That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. I do what I can. My son played football. I should probably be more engaged. My cousin has also played NFL for quite a few years. Gone to a couple games. Nice. I should probably. Nice. I go and support and I cheer on his team. But do I understand the plays? Not so much. So that's what I had. Cool. It takes a whole team to get legislation through and to get it passed. And so if you can be a unifier, if you can say, hey, this is not me coming in saying, here I am, I'm going to just go flipping tables and making everything happen. And we're going to make the state run. Mandee's got it covered. That's not my heart. It's unity and connections. And so the gifting that the Lord has given me as a connector in ministry, I feel is going to serve well here on the state level in government.
Yep. So let me ask you a little tougher question. Yeah. And I wouldn't have thought of that. And you're talking about that because I think people do have gifts about bringing people together. And I've seen it in ministry. And just so you know, I'm not that guy at all. And so that's an area that's not that I struggle. I just avoid it altogether. And as far as that idea, so I hear that, right? And I go, I know people who are able to, hey, you know what? And I was talking to somebody, I think you too, are going to serve well. Right? You should talk. Yeah. You should talk. But in the position of senator, so ask me this, where in your litmus paper of right and wrong, what will be inside of you? Should there be the time where you have to be this is where my foot stands.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying there? Because you also, people are going to want some tenacity along with that too. Because unifying in politics to me sometimes can be the great danger statement. I'm not trying to throw that back at you. It's not a thing, but you have that gifting. So what might be a way that you're going, well, there's this in me too that has the ability to protect.
Yeah. Can I answer that with another story?
Absolutely.
All right. So 2020, our youngest daughter has a lot of needs just from where we've walked through. Right.
Yeah.
With that, she's severely hearing impaired and vision impaired. Masks are just not a thing. Not going to happen. Also, as someone that walks with a lot of individuals with trauma, found that masking was not the best way to build that you are a safe person to connect with.
Oh man, think of it. Right. Think of it.
So much trauma that was just completely ignored during COVID. All right. So we said, as a family, we won't mask. That's not what we're going to do. My husband and I both stepped away from the medical field in that time. Job changes, career changes, and all the things. With that wasn't enough. We had a religious and medical exemption, and our daughter was still denied care across the state. She couldn't get her hearing aid appointments without everyone masking. She can't reach your lips. This is ridiculous.
Oh, man.
It's just ridiculous. And so we were denied. It got to a place of her story is hers to share, but it got to a place where living at home was no longer a safe and viable option for a season in time. And with her level of needs and her exemption, she was denied in over 75 placements because I said, I will not institutionalize my child. We won't wear masks, and this isn't going to work. She ended up getting placement in Mississippi. And we said, okay, this is what needs to happen because we will not come under and appear to be afraid, right? I'm an image bearer of Christ. I'm not going to hide my identity. I'm not going to walk in fear. There's good common sense. If you feel sick, stay away from people. But I'm a data person. I'm a numbers person. I'm a pretty logical person. The masks were not logical. And we simply couldn't get behind it. And we said, if you can mandate a mask, you can mandate a vaccine. I'm not going to be your test subject on some newly thrown out vaccine.
Amen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so she was placed in Mississippi. With that meant that insurance did not cover her care. It was a Christian organization and it was out of state. So we moved in with my parents and we started Airbnb at our house. I started working overnights a few nights a week. My husband, we get off work on Friday night. We would drive through the night, 13 hours to Mississippi. We would do a family visit and family counseling and therapy and visit on Saturday. We'd get back in the car, drive through the night so we could be home in time for my overnight shift on Sunday night. Because we said, we won't do it. We aren't going to come under this chaos. We won't fly because we'd have to wear a mask to fly. And we're just not going to do it. And so it came against my religious beliefs. I wasn't going to be a part of it, but I was going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that my kids' needs were met. And if that meant traveling to the other side of the country, the other side of the states, to do that every other weekend for 2 years before our family was able to be reunified again, that's what we were going to do. And so I don't shy away from hard things. I don't shy away from the battles. And there are times I was not on the same page with every legislator of, Mandee, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Just put on the mask. It's not a big deal. Just go with it.
Right.
As a pro-life person, I knew that aborted fetal cells go in 90% of vaccines. From a religious perspective, I couldn't do that.
Right.
And like I said, it's way too new. You try it out on somebody else, and that's okay because it does get to be your choice to do so. Everyone gets the choice. If you want to wear the mask, that's okay. If you want to be vaccinated, that's okay. You cannot tell me that I have to because you are taking away my liberties.
Yep.
You can't do it. So those are the areas where unify where you can.
Right.
How does that quote go? I need to look it up. In non-essentials, unity. You know what I'm trying to say.
I do. But my quote goes a little different.
Okay.
Yeah. Unify where possible and then strike. So it's just how, no, so Mr. Willman, please note on this podcast, this answer knows how to unify, solidly knows how to draw the line. And
did that answer your question?
It does, because people can say, I know when to stand. Matter of fact, it's a political statement. I'm not going to let anybody push me down. We're going to stand strong. We're going to stand strong. Your testimony, if that's not evidence to people, then maybe they're barking up the wrong tree. Because I've not heard such a strength in evidence that understands what resolve is needed. That protective agency that was in you, and then your husband coming alongside, and you two bearing down and going, no, this is how this is going to happen. To me, that's defending the single strength that the entire nation is built upon, the single family strength, which is the notion of the family. Because prior to that, there's another governance that goes on in our hearts. I mean, people that aren't married, they govern, or they're governed in their hearts. But the question is what? So you've entered into a family structure, but how do you, I know we talked enough, it'd be a redundant question to say, I don't know, do you know Jesus? But because that's not always a great political statement, but I think it bears weight today. I think it bears a lot of weight today. Because when people say separate politics and religion, my new revelation over the last 5 years is saying, you can't take Christ out of me. You can't take Jesus out of me. What is in your relationship with the Lord? How is governance brought to you? Does that make sense? I didn't have this pre-thought out very well, but what governs your heart, which then governs your marriage, governs your being mom, and is going to really lead in governorship when you win the district.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Trying to articulate how to put this. So my heart, I got a new tattoo this year.
Nice.
As we prepared for this.
Nice.
I realized not everyone loves tattoos.
Can you see it?
That.
Can you see it, Mr.
So
Woolman?
it's a cross with a sheep.
Hold on just a second. Just keep holding it there. Can you see it?
Turn
Turn to your right. There you go. Keep going. Oh, that's too high. Never mind.
Never mind.
It.
All right.
I'll describe it. There's a single line cross right on the exterior of your forearm, and the lamb.
Yes.
The lamb. Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins, but a lamb right at the bottom of the cross there.
So my heart. So this tattoo for me is a constant reminder, right? And that's why I have it where I can easily see it, where it's visible. Um, in scriptures, in the I am statements in John, right? I am the shepherd, right? And what I love about that scripture, and we homestead, so I understand livestock a little bit. We've got some sheep, not the brightest stars in the sky, but they do know who their person is, right? They do know their shepherd. And as I was studying that I am statement in John, in the I am the shepherd, I was able to dig out a lot of really rich pieces in history, and just we are very disassociated from that as the shepherd statements anymore in our culture, because we don't have that many shepherds, right? But the shepherds literally lived with their sheep, and they knew their sheep, and the sheep knew their shepherd's voice. They knew their master's voice. And so in, I believe it was World War II, a bunch of sheep were stolen by the army that was there, and everybody's trying to fight and get them back, and they couldn't do it. Finally, their shepherds called their name, and the sheep all came back to their shepherds. The military couldn't keep them in. The army couldn't keep them in. They couldn't contain the sheep because they knew their shepherd's voice. And if someone else goes and calls the sheep, they might use all the right words, they might use all the right everything, but the sheep are not going to go to anyone that's not their shepherd. They know his voice that intimately. And so I want to know my shepherd's voice that intimately, that I cannot be led astray by a copycat or by someone that is sounding good, that sounds like my shepherd, but isn't quite there. I want to know his voice so well that I can't be stolen, that I can't be led astray. And so that was especially stepping into this arena, right? There's a lot of voices. There's a lot of things that sound pretty good, but maybe are just a little bit off. And I don't want that counterfeit to sneak in for me.
Right.
I don't want that counterfeit Christ. And so leaning in and being so close to just know my shepherd's voice. And so that's why it's here. That's why it's on my arm. That's why I'm right-handed. I can see it all the time. Very simple line work. It's just a single line cross and lamb. I didn't need anything big or crazy. Just this, what is it? The Shema. Put the scriptures on your heart, bind it to your forehead. All right, I'm not going to walk around with a scroll on my forehead. People will look at me a little weird, but this is my reminder.
No, I appreciate your answer to that question, because we also live in a culture, and when you talk about following a false ideal, and I get nervous. So I used to try to point out more and more out, that's fake, or that's false. But at the same time, the most important thing is that I'm only hearing the right voice.
Yeah.
And that much like Peter and John at the end of the book of John, and Jesus is there, and John's laying on Jesus's lap, and Peter's going, whoa, wait a minute, you're saying he's going to be with you, but it's not going to go great with me, right? Yeah. What about me? And Jesus says to him, what is that for you? What is that to you? And I know there's the three parts where he's talking about tend my sheep, but to me, a powerful statement is that, what is that to you? And Jesus is saying, you follow me. You follow me. And Christianity has been given a bad rap name, generically so. You're a Christian? Well, let's talk about that. Right. So Christian has become a broad ideal that is not well understood. And so I appreciate you sharing what your governance is. My sheep hear my voice. And that's a fact. Yeah. So, right. Fantastic. You've touched on that you were involved with, that you've been involved with ministries with sex trafficking. That's highlighted as one of the things that you will have focus on in regards to the state. Parental rights. Tell me about those things, parental rights. What do you see going on in Iowa now that we would even have to consider this as a deal?
Yeah. So for anyone that's heard me, I'm sorry if this is repeat information to you, but I'm just going to keep pounding this fact until it's clearly understood. In the state of Iowa, we'll go parental rights as far as libraries go, or schools, right? We can do both. I spoke in support of legislation in the last couple of years to create transparency in education for parents. It seems like this seems pretty common sense. Parents get to know what the lesson plans are, what the curriculum is. It was heavily fought and debated that parents did not need to know what the curriculum was, that they did not need to be a part of this decision, that it's the teachers, and the teachers get to figure this out. And I'll caveat and say a little bit, Yes, when we enrolled our children into school, we did enroll and say that we were signing them over as the parents or the teachers to be their authority. That's true. But it wasn't to take place of the parents. And if we could be working alongside this together, that'd be fantastic. So I believe in the parents, your parental rights are God ordained. Right? God gave you your children to raise. You are their ultimate authority. And so you know better than anybody else what is best for you and your family in each season, right? Maybe it is public school, maybe it is private school, maybe it is homeschool. Maybe one year it's homeschool and the next year is private school and the next year is public school. It can be a gimmick, but you know your children better than anyone else. Right. And so ultimately you are the deciding person in that. You have that final authority. Whether anyone else has input, that's fine, but you get to make that decision. We fought that a lot, again, with our daughter's education and the school going, well, no, this isn't how we do it. Well, that's okay. She doesn't need to be enrolled here anymore. That's no problem.
Right.
Sorry, my sass just came out. I'm so sorry. I'll put that right back. But right? that's okay. Still. That's okay. You don't need to do that. What we're still fighting, and the transparency laws they're in place. They're not fully being followed out, right? So still working on honing that. Now, the libraries, I've had a lot of debates with the librarians. You would not think this is such a hot topic issue. I have fought and said that in schools and in libraries, we should not provide pornographic and graphic material to children, to minors. As someone who has worked with sex trafficked survivors, I believe that pornography is a direct pipeline to sex trafficking. I don't want to be a part of the pipeline. I know the mental health and trauma and all the things associated with pornography. Now, if you choose to consume, you do get to make that right. We can disagree on it.
Right.
But my taxpayer dollars don't need to cover that in the libraries. I don't need to be paying for it, and I don't need to be consuming it, and I don't need it to be available to my minor children.
Right.
So the argument that has been had is currently, what a lot of folks don't realize is that if you sign your kids up for a library card, you are consenting that they can have anything from the library, and you do not need to be notified of anything that they have. I have a problem with that. I have a real big problem with that. I have a problem with the banned books being right up front, the explicit content being shoved at kids, and then you're telling me that because I signed them up for a library card, which seems like a great thing. I want my kids to be readers. I want them to be knowledgeable. I want them to have these experiences. You're saying that by signing them up for a library card, I gave up my right to say what they could and could not take out from the library? And you may very likely not notify me, maybe not even give me a checkout list. You may call them if that book is overdue, but not me. This is a problem. So there needs to be some transparency there. So the explicit content was pulled out of books for schools. Des Moines Public School has now gone around and they're now partnering with the Des Moines Public Library to get the library cards through there so the kids can still get all the books without being in the school. So my argument was in these subcommittees, my taxpayer dollars don't need to cover. If you as a parent choose that this is how you need to educate your children because they say, well, this is good sexual health education. That's why these books are important. They need to have sexual health education. You need to have a diverse and robust education to learn about all the different ways that you can do this and with whom else. I disagree. As someone who actually has a written curriculum on sexual health and education and trauma care with it, I have a difference of opinion on that. But either way, I've said this would be fine. As a parent, if that's how you choose that you need to educate your child, we can disagree on if that's how we parent or not, but it gets to be your right, except for the fact that federal law states that I am now breaking federal law and distributing pornographic material to a minor, but the teacher or librarian can because there's a loophole. So what I can be charged with federally is completely fine with you, and I cannot even be notified. That's a problem. That says that teachers and librarians have more access to my children than I do.
Correct.
And so that would be a parental rights issue that I have. If nothing else, very minimum, I should have the same rights as the librarians
Absolutely.
and teachers do. That should be the very minimum of how this is rewritten and changed. And parents should always have full access to what their kids up to 18 have rented from the libraries. There should be a printout that goes to the parents.
When Sioux Center had their issue going on up there, I got involved with a commentary discussion that, it's funny how it just lights kerosene off. and a part of me is like, we're in a position right now that I just don't know how much longer rules and governance and laws and things can even shift what's going on, because without question, in many of the public schools' minds and the libraries, things like this, they're simply saying, we have the right to bear no responsibility for the children. We are going to call ours that didn't come from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. These kids didn't come from us. We want to educate them, and we bear no responsibility for that. And as a believer, if we're not paying attention to the notion and the idea of walking in a society that is so anti-Christ, it's so anti-truth, it's so anti-parent, it's so anti-family, there's only one. I think C.S. Lewis gets this idea captured very well in the children's book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
Because Edmund is excellent. Edmund is drawn up by the witch having her first conversation. And she says, in my opinion, the most profound statement in that book, which is I have no children of my own.
Mm.
And she's tempting him with sweeties and tempting him with Turkish delight and giving him what he would want as a child, to capture him in the lie, to destroy him.
That's good.
Aslan, of course, does what's necessary to redeem him.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, Satan can have no children. He is the father of lies. And we are seeing this at a level that is a little disconcerting to me, at a pretty high level. And so when this is going on, and I said in regards to Sioux Center, I said, so let me get this straight. You can check a child can check out this information that's adult. I said, will you have the same concern if a 50-year-old man walks up to your parking lot and starts to distribute for free the same content to an underage child? And I answered my own question in the comments by saying, yes, the police department would be called.
Yes. Because it's creepy. Let's just call it out. It's weird.
That's how dangerous that is. And yet it's accepted in the public forum and in the name of some sort of constitutionality and freedom of the press. And they continue to lie and lie. And, this is the banning of books and this is all this kind of stuff. And it's, are you ready to get it? Oh my gosh. We're going to start a prayer team. Mr. Willman, mark this down. We'll need prayer team in regards to that. And I think you're taking it on very well. I think that's very important. Parental rights is at the top of my list. That's where I've drawn the lines.
And then I'd also like to address the sex traffic survivors.
Please.
And there as well. So I've been working for about 4 years to get a piece of legislation to the Capitol. It was brought in this last year. Representative Mark Thompson has sponsored the bill and wrote it. I brought the problem. He brought the bill. This was fantastic. I'm so appreciative of him. So what I have found in the years of working with sex traffic survivors is the number one reason that they don't stay out of the life, is because their pimps have stolen their identities. And they have this extensive criminal history from their time during trafficking. So their pimps have used their name and destroyed their rental histories. We can't get them medical insurance because of Medicaid fraud. They can't get a driver's license because their licenses have been revoked and suspended and unpaid fines. They can't go to school and they can't get a job because they can't pass a background check because of prostitution charges. And a variety of other things, all things that were done under coercion and under force during their time in trafficking. These were not things that they were doing under their own control. And so I said, this is great. This is really great. We get survivors out. We say, look at you. You're free. You have a hope. You have a future. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be. Dream, girl. Dream. Tell me about it. What you want to do. Well, hang on. I don't have a friend that can get you an apartment in that circle. Wait, you can actually only have a job in Miss Mandee's radius of circle of friends. You can only get an apartment if she knows a landlord that will let you get an apartment without passing a renter's background check. I'm sorry, you actually can't have a full future, just this little one that keeps you within like a 30-mile radius of Miss Mandee. Sorry about that. That was a joke. So their pimps have already stolen they've already stolen so much from them. And now they still are having control and holding on to their futures and their dreams and their true healing and being able to integrate back into society and a healthy community. And so I've been working with legislators to write this bill to say, hey, we need to expunge the records of survivors during their time in trafficking. And so it got very close. A lot of things got caught up. and the sorry, eminent domain folks, property landowner rights people, you need I'm behind you. I support you. But a lot of other bills got held hostage in that, and there just wasn't time because of all the eminent domain and pipeline bills going through. And so all the rest of them kind of got shut down in that. So it did not make it through this last year. It has come through again this year.
Okay.
We've tweaked it a little bit and made it through with 100% bipartisan support in the House and is now moving over to the Senate. It's looking good. It's looking optimistic, and the hope and prayer is that gets through. But the times that I've spent, the years that I've spent showing up at the Capitol has been for the people that I don't believe have a voice to show up themselves. That is my kids, and that's survivors. Survivors are not showing up at the Capitol to talk to legislators. They're kind of staying back in the shadows. They don't want their face out there. They don't want to be ruffling feathers. But they matter, and their futures matter. And we need to provide better protection for them and restoration, because we've got a few bills out there, and they sound pretty good, but they actually don't have any teeth. And so our survivors are still sitting in this place of stuck. And then the other bill that I've been heavily advocating for is a prosecuting task unit in the state of Iowa. So currently Iowa does not have a full prosecuting task force for sex traffic survivors. Living in the Midwest, we have 3580 intersection. We move a lot. We move a lot of people through.
We're a huge hub here.
Yeah. Yep. We move a lot of people through our state. And so the heart is to have a couple of different task forces across the state, and their whole job is identifying victims, getting them out, working with them, and prosecuting their pimps and getting them out. So these bills are kind of twofold to me, right? We're trying to identify the victims and get them out of the life to begin with. And then if they've already been in, great. Now let's try to work on clearing those criminal histories just for well-rounded support and care of survivors.
I feel like if we remove all the costs of teaching DEI in the state of Iowa at the university and high school and elementary level, we should be able to easily fund that, as expensive as it would be, and understand that. And people don't understand this. Not everybody in the public school. So when I say public school, that's not a negative term. It's the ideal that lives within that. And not everybody there agrees with the ideal. And those people, it's hard to be in the school. But that can even be true of private schools too, for that matter. And if you're going to homeschool your parents, you have to take a tremendous step towards the education process, and you have to bear that weight, no matter how that runs. And but I find it very interesting that they don't understand that what they instruct in school gears children towards the potential of a criminal lifestyle. I know that sounds harsh, but when the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not depart from it. And part of that, in my understanding of the word, is not only train them up in what is right to do, but train them up in what is right that they have been created to do. And in public policy anymore, they are training them up in what they want them to do, because then liberal idealism gets to be the party parent that isn't responsible. Again, I go back to that, but gets to have the party with the kid because the kid gets to have what they want instead of actual parenting. And that's why you have to, if it comes to that in whatever school district you are, and you go, look, I disagree with this, you are not actually parenting. And since I'm the parent, that's why I would pull you out, because you are in fact not parenting at this point. And that's quite a cross intersection that we're dealing with right now in the idealism of what that looks like in our schools. And and I'm going to pick on the Republicans just a little bit. This just didn't happen overnight. And somehow some things were getting through walking down and nobody was paying attention, or they were agreeable enough that it got it where it shouldn't have been at some point. I don't know who that is. And that's a broader, that's just a scope picture of, okay, here we are, but why did this even occur then?
Yeah, I think that's, bring it back to complacency. Right?
Yeah.
This is and I think a trust, right? A trust of this. I grew up in the school system and it was great and it was fine. Not me. I was homeschooled too. I was a nerd all the way through. This is fine. But a lot of parents, right? Oh, I went to school. This was great. I'm going to send my kids to the same school. It's going to be the same experience, right? So you have this trust that it's what we do as a society, right? Your kids get to preschool age, you sign them up for school, both parents are working, everybody's busy. You get the kids picked up about 4 o'clock. You quick get a little bit of homework in, shovel in some food, run to your sports practice, get home, go to bed, wash, rinse, repeat. Right. And so you don't have time to tease out what challenges maybe arose during the day or what questions or concerns that they have. And this is not a judgment to any family choices or anything. This is what we found in our home, and why we made different educational choices is for us and how our family was living. We didn't feel that we knew our kids or what was going on. I volunteered at the school all the time, and I still felt like I was missing all these things. It's like, I thought I was an engaged parent. I thought I knew what was going on. I'm still not in agreement. These teachers might be lovely, but it's still not how we believe the Lord. We are seeing character flaws in our children, and that now becomes my job to parent. I asked you to teach, but my job is to parent. And so if they're having character quality flaws, that's something we need to fix. And so we need to pull from school to start addressing those issues.
Absolutely.
Because, well, you're not the most pleasant person to be around at this season in your life. So I need to buckle down. I cried. I did not want to be a homeschool mom. I really liked working. And I love my children, but I just went, oh, but I was home with them when they were little. And now this is like where I finally get to be. Everybody's in school. And then one of my children just started not being awesome. And I went, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I'd rather keep working with the school and let them handle the behaviors and let them handle the things, and let them do this than for me to buckle down and do this. And come to find out there were things going on that we hadn't known were going on that were causing some behaviors. We were able to address those because when we were together all day, every day, we were able to figure this out. And now I have really great kids. Like, I really like my teenagers. People are like, oh, you got 4 teenagers. Whew, girl. Yeah, it's amazing. We can sit down and have grown-up conversations. They feed themselves. I don't need to take them to the bathroom. Like 3 out of 4 of them drive. This is fantastic. We can, like, you're just great people.
I remember when our boys got in high school and they were both playing football, feeding themselves was an understatement. Might as well just pick up the refrigerator and walk out the door. We
raise our own meat for a reason. We cannot afford to feed them otherwise. One of my kids has decided that he's going full bore, digging into his health, and he is not doing gluten. He's not doing sugars. Fantastic. Me either. Thanks for joining the party. He has decided that steak 3 times a day is fine.
Why not?
Eggs and steak. It's breakfast.
Jesus
it's lunch.
would.
I'm like,
Jesus would. I'm telling you.
You need to start raising your own cow. Like, I raised this cow, but someday you're going to move out of my house, and it's going to be really soon, and you're going to be so sad that you cannot afford those steaks every day. 3 times a day, child.
Can you imagine?
My child is almost 6'4", just so you know. You can't afford that steak, kid.
See, I've been to the website. I thought your son and your husband were the security team.
Yeah. Yeah, my son does work security. He does.
It's like, no problem. Hands down, we got that covered.
Yeah, I have a picture of me at an event this summer, and it was a staged photo shoot. I do second photography with a friend at times, and I travel around. And anyway, my husband and my son were working the event that I also was a part of putting on. And so I'm wearing this formal dress, and they both are wearing blackout, like, shirts, pants, everything is, they're blackout, and they're both standing on either side of me. I was like, I just look like I come with my own private security. Like, I'm wearing heels and I go to below their ribs. You know, they're both, I think they're 6'3" and 6'4". I'm 5 foot.
There's a little difference. You can see just a little bit in the photo there, just a little difference, but
just a little bit. But you know, I feel very secure when they're around, and their sisters. It's been pretty fun to watch them as they're shaking out. And this summer, our third daughter worked at the fair for the first time, and my son didn't work at the fair for the first time, and so. I realized she has very little spatial awareness because she's always just doing her thing because her brother's there to watch out for her. So she's like 4'10". That's right. She's 4'10". She's just living her best life. And her brother, you know, like, it's like a cartoon, right? Like, she's ready to walk off a cliff, and he just like picks her up and scoots her back on the path, and they just keep on going, right? Like, oh, there's a tree, and he just like veers her around. And so she's like, oh, well, if I'm done working my shift and my sister's not done yet, I'll just wander around the fair. I said, no, you won't. Right. No, you won't. And you won't put in your earbuds, and your brother's not there. And she goes, oh, he's not going to be there. No, your security is not going to be there. You're going to need to be aware of your own surroundings. Yep. You're going to need to figure this out. And then she cried because he's going to go to college this fall, and what's she going to do without her private security? And like, but it's so sweet because he is so protective of his sisters, and they're just like, no, they just watch out, and they've gotten so comfortable.
You understand your very story is going to be taken to offense by many people, because gender equality, which is actually the new holiness of our era, is that she's just as strong and self-protective as her big brother. And so, tongue in cheek, of course.
Yeah.
This is the danger of our society. And we have this discussion from time to time. So, the society is going to go so far, but then the men who are actually quiet are the ones preparing for the change in many ways. Because we see back and we sit, and at one point, and I don't know what point we are, and I'd be curious to what your take is on this, how far we are. And I'm going to delve into national just a little bit. And I know that you're running for state, because I do. You're jumping in.
Yeah.
And kudos to you for doing that. Sometimes I sit back and I go, how much time do we have left before a larger adjustment needs to occur? And now, as much of a blessing it is to live in the state of Iowa in comparison to California, Illinois, New York, pick any of these states, we have our own flaws. And I think believers are better at seeing our own flaws. Like, we're willing, somewhere we have enough sense to go, you know what, none of us are perfect. And it is important that we look at what the problems are within our own idealism in this state, or say the Republicans or the right or whatever, and say, and sometimes I think that makes it tough to get some things done, but I don't think that's bad, because it seems the left is like, nope, everything's right. All we have to do is come to unity, and all the wrong we're about to do, we're unified in. Because there seems to be a lack of ability for them to go, hey, you know what, we're doing this, and shouldn't we be questioning what we're doing this? That seems to only exist in one idealism, unfortunately.
It was the mask problem, right? Why are we doing this?
Yep.
Is there logic behind it?
Yep.
I'm not going to get on a bandwagon just because everybody else is on it. If it's going off the cliff, I'm not going with you.
Yep.
That's just all there is to it. So my husband and I have chosen to raise our family very differently because we have seen these pendulum shifts.
Yep.
And first of all, we are raising very independent young women. We are a farm family. These girls can haul. They can haul grain all on their own. They can throw those feed sacks just as well as the others. Number 3 there, the curly-haired one that worked the fair for the first time. Her nickname is Piglet because she is little, but we say a pig's only defense is to squeal really loud. And you pick her up and she squeals really loud. That's her defense mechanism. She's loud. And she's feisty, and she's going to take you down. We also call her Kneecap Hallie. She's a little gangster. She can hold her own. I'll let her share those stories even further. But our girls can carry their own, right? We're farm strong family. We can do this. We've walked in really hard spaces. We've raised our kids to be very independent. The next tallest daughter there, number 2, she drives a pickup. She can throw fence herself. They're strong young women. But there's also a peace and a comfort in walking out our God-ordained roles. And so resting in that and going, okay, if my dad isn't here, if my brother isn't here, I can stand.
Yeah.
I can do that. This might get me thrown off. We're a 2A family. I came home yesterday and they're out at the shooting range in the back of our property. And I was like, oh, sounds like the girls are out with their guns. They all carry knives. They all have.
Oh,
they
look
all have
on your
their own
website, Second Amendment. Interesting.
There we go. It is.
There
on
it is.
There. I mean, it's just a part of their lives, and so we've raised them of, all right, if you're like, when I'm independently walking around the Capitol, head's always on a swivel. I'm very aware of my surroundings. I've walked security long enough. I do that. The minute my husband and my son are there, she's like, oh, look, I don't have to think anymore.
Right.
This is really nice. And so I can rest in that, where the Lord has given them such broad shoulders. He has given them the strength to do this. He has given them this awareness of their surroundings and the strength. And so I can step into those spaces when I need to, but he also has allowed me to share those burdens with them and to share that weightiness with them. And so I can rest in that peace. And I'm so grateful that I don't have to do it alone, that I don't have to sit in this like constantly being the one on guard, because they can help. Yeah. And I don't have to do it alone. And so if I let them set and stand in the roles that God has given them, which is the protectors of our home and our family, can I do it if I need to? I sure as heck can. And I'm feisty.
Right.
High school, I definitely got in more fights than my husband did. Okay. He's got a level head. I'm just, it's the little ones you need to watch out for. Okay. Thank you, Jesus. He's calmed me down a few levels. I'm not quite as spastic as I used to be. But
now that you've said that, when you get in, we're going to keep a close eye on you. And somebody better keep an eye on her just to make sure.
I am a real big fan of decorum. Okay. I think that there is a time and a place to be feisty, and there is a time and a place to carry dignity and respect. And in our capital, we need to be able to carry ourselves and to communicate in an
I think there's a few people
way.
you need to talk to down there about that, right?
I know.
Right.
But we can agree to disagree on things, and we can even strongly disagree, but we can still, if I can view you as an image bearer of my creator, which is ultimately my goal, is to view every person as an image bearer, even the feisty ones.
Absolutely.
Then I can treat them with dignity and respect no matter what they're throwing at me, sometimes literally throwing at me. And I can do that. But again, if I'm home, I just don't have to.
That's because you value life.
Yeah.
That's because it's sacred. At conception, that's humanity. That's a human right there. That's why. See, you can function in decorum, but we're seeing a whole new group of people don't even know how, because they've disvalued human life itself. And so the only thing that they know is to lose their minds. And unfortunately, now we're seeing senators do it also, and reps and all that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, I have no tolerance for it. And it just at a very zero level.
I think that there will be, I know this is something that was addressed in a meeting last night, is how do we address this at the Capitol to make sure that all of our legislators are kept safe, to make sure that there is decorum kept, because we are one of the few states that actually has open discourse in the Capitol. Many other states will allow protesters outside of the property. You are not actually allowed in the doors. Iowa has said, you know what? Freedom of speech. You may do this, and you may, but when you start causing disruptions, when work is not able to be done, when you start throwing things at people, we are no longer on the same page. And this is gonna create problems. And so I do believe that there's going to be more presence of security in each room.
Do you think that's going to be a benefit? My personal experience down there last spring, and then once down, and I'll be going back down this week. My personal experience down there last week showed me something, and with a conversation of the senior trooper who was there during the homeschoolers were told, hey, you probably shouldn't be here today as a matter of safety. And then every freakoid that's non-Iowan showed up. And I had a chat with a couple of those folks.
Because we were there that same day, because that was the day where they were speaking on codifying what a woman is in the Constitution, because I was one of those speakers on defining what a woman is.
And every fiber of my being was wishing that every homeschooler would show up with their kids and say, you want to be like that? Because it would have been an easy lesson, right? I mean, it's just that simple. But my problem is after speaking with the state trooper, who I have a deep respect for, I have a deep respect for law enforcement. I have my own family members that were involved. And so I have a serious respect for that. And they said the same thing. There's nothing that can be done unless there's an interruption. Well, their definition of interruption and my definition of interruption are not the same. And so I do have a strong criticism of the state of Iowa right now. And my strong criticism of the state of Iowa is it doesn't have the stones to make them stay outside because they're not drawing the line. Each time I'm down there and these people are acting as they are, now maybe in the way they were raised, but if I did that as a kid in the home I was raised in, that didn't qualify as free speech at all. That was the disruption in an inappropriate fashion to authority. And it was instantly stopped. I'm having a hard time with the fact that they're just okay. And I feel they're long past stepping over that line. And I feel that there's a fear that's going on in the supermajority that's saying, well, we don't want to look like the people that took them back out of the building. Yeah. And do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I have different lenses, right? So I absolutely hear and don't even necessarily disagree with your perspective on that. That would not be allowed in our house either. I'm sorry. You're not speaking to those in authority in that way. Not that you don't have a valuable voice, but there's a way to carry it, right?
Absolutely.
We do not act on feelings. We act on, if you got that big of a feeling, go pause yourself for a minute and then come back. Okay. We'll address this later.
Throw a few bales and then come back and you'll calm down a little bit.
So we use sign language in our house. And so a sign that the kids, because of our youngest and her hearing aids, like she had very little verbal skills, but we could do this one. And that's no more drama. Okay.
Everybody wants to do that again, please.
No more drama. It's all done. Okay. Yep. So no more drama. It's all done.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Write that down. That's good.
Yeah. We I could sign that across the building in church. All right. I don't need to holler at you. You see me right now? You see me? I also speak some Mandarin. And so if I switch to Mandarin or sign language, my children like that went.
It's a sign from
oh,
heaven.
Shoot, Mom's serious.
It's a sign from heaven.
Serious right now. Okay?
The Mandarin's kicked in. That's it.
Right. They know. They know. If I have switched to a language that no one else understands, you better be listening real quick. Okay. Mandarin's not that common in the greater Des Moines area. Anyway.
Really?
I know. It's my life in Taiwan, but it's worked for me. So my children yep. knew when to step to.
Beautiful.
But also back to the question. I also agree. It's gone too far. There needs I saw this really great thing the other day. Children's brains have been trained. Like the more times you don't address a problem and you just keep on repeating yourself,
yeah.
they learn like those pathways are ingrained that you don't respond until the yelling happens. Right. So they're not even necessarily ignoring. It's you're not supposed to do anything until someone yells because no one has acted and given consequences for the behavior. Right. So that's parents. We need consistency.
Right.
You said something. They didn't listen. Get up and pick up that child and move them to said location then.
Right.
There are consequences for actions. You do what you said you were going to do. Quit counting to 10 3 times. You said if you didn't move by the count to 10, don't restart counting for the love of Pete.
Oh, we're having church up in here right now.
I mentioned my husband and I are in ministry. Family ministry is real big in our church. But
I don't even equate that with ministry. I just equated that with godliness.
Obedience, right?
Yep.
Just obedience. Sure. And so I feel at the state level, I'm going to count to 10. Well, I'm starting back over. Now I'm counting to 10, right? So
that's totally it.
But at the same time, I also have a lot of respect for the leadership and going, okay, but these are adults. How do we act this out? And they're trying to navigate this very fine line of if we throw out those that are causing chaos, right? It's mostly the liberals. Let's just be real. There's a few conservative ones in there that just need to also learn how to pull themselves together and carry themselves well.
Fair enough.
You can't be running for office and not attend a MAGA event. And I was at a MAGA event the other day. My security was not there with me. I was there alone. My little self, this man, there was a protester that made it into the event, started raising a little bit of a ruckus. The gentleman next to him like freaked out on him, start shoving him. And I was like, hey, like security was there so fast. They were on top of it, right? It was while Trump was speaking. This man, his cell phone fell out of his pocket onto the ground. This guy goes, is that his? Is that his? He picks it up and he starts throwing it down. Oh. And he's stomping on it. And I stood in front of him and I said, bad behavior does not warrant bad behavior. Rise up, do better. And he picked it up and he threw it one more time. And I said, bad behavior does not warrant bad behavior. Rise up and do better. And like I had every mom look on me.
Did you say it that second time in Mandarin? Did you say it in Mandarin the second
no,
time?
I don't think it would have worked for him. He didn't know. He didn't know what I was saying. But he kind of went back in line and the guy next to me was like, thank you. This man was not behaving any better than the protester had. Right. He's destroying this man's property. Right. He's behaving out of feelings. He's being irrational. Do better. You are not any better right now. I wanted him out just as bad as I wanted the protester, and again, my little 5-foot self, and I'm like looking up at this man, I said, do better. Right. But on all sides, like I believe that he should have been taken out as well. I think security should have removed both of them. Mm-hmm. He was being destructive. Mm-hmm. He destroyed his personal property and he was shoving him out. That is assault. Get out.
Right.
I don't want you here.
Right.
And so they're walking this fine line, but back to the point, most of it is, we will call them the classy ladies who don't get much done. I don't know if you've heard of this lobbyist group.
No, I'm listening. I think I met most of them in 2 protests.
All right. Well, I'm going to swear because it's a part of it's their actual registered lobbyist name. So I apologize.
It's just the internet. So
yeah, it's the bitches who get shit done is their registered lobbyist name.
She's got great glasses.
I've complimented
her hair is amazing.
Her glasses. Yeah. I don't want to give her too much screen time on here, but they have a way of rallying people very quickly. And these ladies who don't get much done, is what I will just refer to them as. They bring about chaos and they bring about people with them, and they're just throwing fits everywhere.
Yep.
I believe that they're that they should lose their rights as lobbyists because they are registered lobbyists.
Oh,
there is
really?
an ethics committee and an ethics board, and they are not staying in alignment with what they've agreed to do. So I believe that they should lose their lobbyist certifications. And I do think that we do need to say, hey, do you know what? You haven't behaved in a way. At the very least, there should be 7 days of consequence where you can't come in the Capitol.
Right.
I'm not saying ban them for forever. I'm not even saying move them to the street.
Start with a reprimand of sorts.
I think that there should be some consequences. It's always easier to say what you would do when you're not in that position. Yeah. So I don't want to harp on leadership too much because I haven't been in that position of needing to make that call myself and trying to find that balance. Hindsight is always 2020. I ate everything. I could solve the world's problems, right? I obviously have great ideas, right, or I wouldn't have come up with it, right? I think that's what most people think, right? I have the best ideas because it was mine, so it must work. Right. I'm not going to be so egocentric and say, like, this is how it should be done. So there was my sarcasm coming out again. But I think that we can say, like, okay, let's have a little grace. I haven't actually sat in that position. I haven't needed to make that decision myself. I want to be honoring of what leadership is trying to do. So I don't want to tear them down because that also, I think, creates division and unify where I can. So if I'm out there attacking leadership when they're just trying to navigate, we haven't been in a situation except for the last few sessions where we've been at this level of lack of decorum, right? This has really gone downhill the last couple of years. So ultimately, they're in session for a few months out of the year. They haven't had like, oh, I've been handling this for years and I know exactly what to do, right? You've got a handful of days and you're like, okay, what do I do? So say we're in year 2 or 3 of the silliness. Last year was pretty heavy. We've had some pretty heavy ones again this year. What do we do? Right. And so I think that it's probably something that will even be continue to be addressed more in the off season.
Okay.
To go, okay, this is now becoming pattern. This isn't a one-off because it's a hot topic issue.
Sure.
This is becoming pattern. So how do we make sure that our legislators, that those that represent our state are safe? How do we make sure that those are coming to the Capitol to lobby and as visitors and guests are kept safe? How do we give everyone freedom of speech while enforcing that decorum is enacted? So I would like to think that our leadership, this is not beyond them. They recognize what's going on. I want to give them a chance to figure it out because they are juggling a lot of things, right? They're trying to juggle keeping everybody safe, policies, what's the actual rules, what can we actually do, what rules do we need to be able to write to be able to enforce them. And hey, let's also run all of our subcommittees because we're still in funnel week 1.
Yep, we are.
Like, I think on Wednesday last week, they had 70 bills that ran. They're running so much. That's a lot to juggle. I want to give grace where grace is due, but also recognize there is a problem. It does need addressed. How does that get shaken out?
Yep. It causes people like myself and others who want to get involved to simply go, why would I? At that point, because so many voices aren't able to be heard then at that point. Yeah. So you bring in decorum, you bring in respect, you bring in a respect for authority, and you don't get noticed and you don't get to say and you don't get to, and that's. So I hope Iowa gets a hold of that so that people who are trying to have an effect, of course, that's its purpose, is to create the chaos.
Right.
That's its purpose, is to try to hinder that from happening. So we see that as absolutely true. Mandee, how much time do we have before the vote boils down here in June?
How much time do we have? So
get on the ballot. We got a couple months here.
Yeah. So June 2nd is primaries. That's a big deal. I'm currently in a 3-way primary, and there is one Democrat that has now thrown their name in the race as well. So there's actually 4 names stepping in.
For District 11.
For District 11, just for my district. So our current senator, if you want me to tease out the individuals.
Yeah,
so
because I want our people to hear you and then hear what it's going to look like here for the next couple of months and what you're going to be in, what you're going to be in against, and then what decisions are going to need to be made on June 2nd for the primaries in regards to that. Yeah.
So our current sitting senator, I have a lot of respect for him. I don't wish him any ill or disrespect. There is also, I think that primaries are good because it creates better candidates.
Yeah. I agree.
And I'm kind of wishing that I hadn't put my phone in my mouth. So he's been in public office longer than I have been alive by more than a decade. And so while I so value and respect he and his wife and the years that they have served, and that I don't say the age is a disrespect. It is, it takes a lot of energy to go and to run. And sometimes we just need to bring fresh faces in for fresh energy in a new ear, and not because of an attack or any way that anything's being done, but there is a time and a season for things. And so just recognizing that
maybe it's time.
That maybe it's time. Yep. And also when no one else has stepped in to say, hey, let me help carry this for you, right? Like, you don't have to keep doing this, because sometimes what I see is if I'm not doing this, who's going to? In a concern of, I can't step down because there's nobody else that I trust to take this seat, right?
See, that takes faith too.
Yeah.
It takes faith to be willing to step down as much as it does to step in, and maybe sometimes hard to step down. George Washington was the best at this.
Yeah.
He said, I won't do it, but for this amount of time. Mm-hmm. They begged him to be the president, and he said, here's the deal. This much power only gets to last this long because I know the heart of man.
Yes.
And it's hard to, people don't understand. It takes just as much trust, maybe this individual also, or many other seated senators, and at the national level, most assuredly. Yeah, but if we change, see, we have to live by faith. And that includes the change that comes with that. It takes just as much, I think, it takes just as much faith for you to step into this and do it as it does for those individuals to go, I just need to be done here.
Yeah. And I've said from the very beginning, I'm not going to play attack campaigns. I'm not going to tear down other candidates, because one, it takes courage for everyone to step in and do this.
Yep,
but two, the Lord has given me a platform and a voice right now. I'm meeting a lot of different people. I'm in a lot of spaces. Let's see, yesterday was a 16-hour day of meetings and podcasts and events. This is becoming my normal, right? I'm working. I'm working I'm working to get my name and the recognition out there, because I don't have the name recognition of decades in front of me. And so working to get myself out, but also if I lose my witness because I have started tearing others down, then it's been for nothing. Mm. And so I have no reason to keep on running if I'm just known as this person that's just tearing people apart and playing messy games. So that's just not a game that I'm going to play. It's not what I'm going to do. So I have no need to tear them down. I can point out some of the differences as to why it was still relevant, but I don't need to play anything dirty. So the other gentleman is a former House representative.
Okay.
Kind guy. We can have coffee all day long. There is enough differences in our voting record and how we would handle things that it was still relevant for me to run. I think he could agree, if he's watching this, it's not an attack, my brother, that I have the more conservative voice out of the two of us. And so choices are good. People get to decide who their vote is going to be for. And so it is not because I think it's this way or that way, but we have enough of differences that it was relevant for me to still step in and run this race. And so, but by having 3 conservatives on the ballot in June, people really should get to know each of the candidates and decide who represents me in this district well, right? The point is, who represents the district? If I'm not that person, if the district is not as conservative as I think it is, then I'm not the person that should be representing that voice, and it should be this other person. Yeah. And if I get into the Capitol and I'm making all these votes that make everyone upset, and hey, do you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be in another term because I'm not representing the majority of the district like I thought I was. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to run on the platform that I've been called to run on, and I'm going to run that well. But if that's not the district, then I don't need to be representing it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think that's a great way to come in and present. And I would encourage you this, because we're going to, stay the course, remain you, so that your platform remains true. And then, yes, God will reveal your district, and then he'll move in that accordingly. That makes total sense to me. What are the best ways people who are listening to the podcast, and I have it pulled up right here, what are the best ways people can find you, donate to your campaign, and follow you and keep up with everything that you've been doing? You said all the hours that you put in yesterday. You even talked about a cow. When you came into the studio today, you talked about a cow. And I feel personally that if Jesus would have been in Iowa during when God had sent him here, and the little boy would have showed up with a cow and 2 loaves, Jesus would have went, yes,
got it.
Yes, this is going to be awesome. But fish is what he had, and that's fine. Otherwise, all the back of our cars would have a big cow on it instead of the little fish thing. Tell me where are the areas are people can go to and go click on that and go follow you there, go donate and go ask questions and find you.
Shiversforsenate.com is my website. For is spelled out FOR. So shiversforsenate.com. Right, there's a click link right there in the center that says donate. I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't need to run $1 million campaign, but realistically, it does have costs to be traveling across the state, to be doing the events, to connect with voters and to educate. So that would be fantastic to come along. It also shows the party that we want strong Christian conservatives in the Capitol. Whenever anyone is willing to put even $5 behind their name, it shows the party, hey, that person valued that position enough that they were willing to step behind, put a little bit of money out, and those people are going to show up and vote. So that speaks volumes in our state. When people come in, no matter the size of the donation, if your budget is limited and $5 where you at, sorry, my words just got all jumbled. $5 is where you are at.
Yep.
Donate $5. If $1,000 or $5,000 is where you're at, I would love to have coffee, and I would love that donation as well. I could live on coffee. I'm pretty sure, like, it is God's drink, but that's a different story. But it does have cost to run, and it does show the party that even in small amounts, people are willing to step behind me. And so the more donors that show up on my donor list, actually, the better it looks for me, no matter the size. Because when I submit that in my reports and say, hey, look at these pages of people that want strong conservatives in office, they go, oh, okay.
They're getting behind this.
And that matters. Yeah. So even if it's for a voice of the party, please do. And then I have Facebook, Instagram, and X, all under the same name, Shivers for Senate.
Okay.
So, and those links are also on my website.
Super. So I'm going to encourage everybody to do that. You check out Shivers for Senate. It's a great picture of your family there, by the way. All smiles across the board there. I don't see the cow anywhere in the back of that field at all there, but maybe that could be cropped in or something.
That was real quick outside of church, actually. We got a field in the background.
Fair enough. That looks absolutely perfect.
It was freezing.
So, yeah. So I'm going to pray and we're going to close.
Thank you.
Lord, thank you for the time. Thank you for the commitment here, Lord, and the call. And so, Lord, we just bless Mandee in the name of Jesus and all these words that are going forth, Lord. And I pray that the people of the District 11, Father, will want to know. That's what I'm praying, is that people will want to know and they will want to understand. And then they'll make decisions in their heart exactly what to do and know that the Lamb of God is speaking on them to do exactly that. In Jesus' name, amen. It's good to be with everybody today. I want to tell and remind everybody to put away the gods of their fathers and decide this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.